Hey guys, and welcome back to the Game Not Game podcast. My name is Green, and with me, as always, is my co-host Zen from his channel, Zen and Cyrene. How you doing, Zen?
I am doing well. How are you doing today?
Very well. We're both finally back from our vacations. Sorry about the missed week last week. It was, we just weren't here. We noticed at the last minute, like, wait a minute. So you're getting back on Wednesday, and I'm leaving on Tuesday. Shit. We're not going to be able to record anything, huh?
Yep.
So...
Planning!
That's how that worked out. But I went to Oregon, Zen went to Georgia, and now we're both back in California.
Yeah, we basically, well, I flew a long way, much longer than you, but we basically went to opposite ends of the country.
Pretty much, yeah. I did not fly, I drove for 22 hours straight with angry cats in the backseat. So that was exciting. Actually, You know what? The cats took it way better than you would expect.
Like, good.
One of them was... Okay, two of them were really mad. One of them responded to being really mad by just sitting in the back of the carrier, like, staring into nothingness. For the entire time. He didn't make a peep. He didn't move. No. He did nothing. He was just in shock. No. But the other one, Nora, just meowed like twice a second for 2 hours. She was just like meow, 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 meow. But not like that. Like meow, 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 meow. Like forever. For over and over again. But only for about 2 hours. And then I think her voice started to get tired and she got used to her new situation and she just gave up. And we didn't hear really anything out of them for the remaining 20 hours that we were on the road. Poor guys.
Yeah, but you and the cats made it there okay.
We did. And they're very happy in their new environment. They get to go outside up there. Here, you can't let cats outside on this property specifically. I'm house sitting the remaining 3 cats because coyotes are like everywhere here. If you let a cat outside, it's going to get eaten. But up there, the ecosystem's a little bit better for cats, so they're allowed to go outside and wander around, and they're enjoying that.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that. Well, I'll tell you. Actually, you know what? I'm going to rant about this because, sorry, we didn't actually discuss this before starting the podcast.
No, I love surprises.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This was a surprise to me too. Believe me. Maybe I'm a little bit spoiled. I don't know. But I flew to Atlanta on United Airlines. Mm-hmm. All right. So, which airline do you usually take when you fly to Virginia?
I tend to take United, actually.
So you know what I'm talking about. Have you ever been on one of the 737s?
Yeah, I believe so. I think so. What about it exactly?
So, oh god. Okay, for those of you who don't know, I'm about 6 feet tall. Okay. Mm-hmm. And, I flew economy on a domestic airline. And frankly, honestly, most of my experiences through my life have been economy international when it comes to flights, right? So, flights in between Hong Kong and San Francisco, between Malaysia and Singapore, that kind of thing. Yeah. So this is the first time, well, not the first time, but this is the first time on United that I've ever flown domestically. All right. And, the flight back on the 747 was the worst flight I've ever taken in my life.
740 or 37?
Excuse me, 737. I would rather be on a 747, believe me. Because there has been this trend over time in which the airline companies try to cram more and more people into the back seats.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, and then charge you like $50 for additional 2 inches of legroom, right, up in front, right?
Yep.
And so I was sitting in the 737, right? It was so small. The first time I've ever sat in an airplane in which my backpack couldn't fit under the seat. You know, the backpack I've had for like 10 plus years, right? Yeah. Just couldn't fit under the seat. That's how narrow it was. And it was so narrow, right, that the, those drink carts, they barely fit in the aisle between the seats. Just barely, right? And I'm sitting on the aisle seat. So when people walk past me, they shoulder check me, you know, and is this a usual experience? It sounds like it is, right?
I've never taken a flight that's not like that.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Okay, so I flew once when I was 11, and at that time, the seats were not too small for me, mostly because I was 11. But in my adult life, that's just how flying is for me. It's miserable, the seats are way too small, and you just get used to it. Or at least I did.
Oh God, because
Yeah, I took Alaska Airlines back from Oregon, so that I didn't have to drive another 22 hours, and that was the same exact shit. Like,
oh God,
tiny fucking seats. I on the flight from Eugene to Seattle. I was in a pretty small plane. I don't know the model, but a smaller plane. And I was in the aisle seat. And yeah, I was like, my shoulders are broad enough that it was like, either I get shoulder checked by every single person walking past me, or I'm leaning into the middle seat guy. There's no middle ground there. I just have broad enough shoulders that that's how it works. But luckily on the second flight, I got an entire row of 3 seats to myself. So that helped a lot.
Oh God. Well, I will tell you, that's not how it is for international, economy. Because, well, I mean, for one thing, it's going more like 12 hours on that
Yeah,
plane,
exactly.
right?
You would fucking die. I always had it in my head, like, man, flying internationally must be the worst, because it didn't occur to me they would have more legroom. I just thought that it would be miserable.
I mean, it's still small. It's not
Yeah.
like luxury unless you are in first class.
Yeah.
But at the very least, I know I'm not going to get shoulder checked by everyone for like 12 hours straight.
See, that would be nice. Yeah, I didn't know that there was a difference. To me, that's just what flying is.
Oh God. So I was sitting in my seat. I was wondering how the hell is it possible that the seats are so small, but yet the aisle for the attendants to walk through is so small either. And the 737 has been around for 30 years, right? I was trying to figure out how in the world that happened. And when I came home, I went on Wikipedia. And I had a suspicion. That the 737s were originally something like 2 seats on each side rather than 3.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. And
that's
how, I don't know if that's true, but I can tell you that the original 737 sat in a 2-cabin configuration, sat 85 people. Right?
Oh, man.
Yeah, and now they sit up to 170. So,
yeah,
it's gotta be, right?
Yeah, they've halved the amount of space each person gets.
Yeah.
Wow, that's nuts.
I'm not usually this salty. I don't get salty about most things, but man, domestic on United is a pain in the butt.
Mm-hmm.
Literally.
I don't know.
Sometimes.
Yeah, I don't think it's a United thing. I think, like I said, like I've been on Delta, I've been on American, I've been on United, I've been on Alaska Airlines. None of them have stood out to me as being exceptionally, like small seating compared to any of the others.
Oh, good.
So I think that's just how it is. I don't think that's a United thing at all.
That's true.
I tend to take United because they tend to have the best prices on the flights, and they've just they haven't been unusually bad to me,
Right.
Like when I take Delta or American, it's like pretty much the same exact experience. Except on Alaskan, oh my god, so on that same flight where I was getting shoulder checked by the fucking cart every time, it was a 50-minute flight from Eugene, Oregon to Seattle, Washington, which was like the most efficient way somehow to get me to California because of timetables. But on that flight, they gave us free beer and wine.
Really?
Yeah. A 50-minute flight, and they didn't card anybody. It was good beer, too. I didn't try the wine, because I recognized the beer. It was Lagunitas, Czech-style Pilsner, which is actually an excellent beer. And, just free beer. And then after that, they gave, like, a 20-minute speech on how we should sign up for their, mileage plus card or whatever. Their, like, credit card.
Right.
So I understood immediately why they had given us free alcohol, but I still enjoyed it. It was still a really nice gesture. And I was really hoping that was going to happen again on the second flight, but it did not.
Wow. Well, I think you probably got a good deal there. Well, you definitely got a good deal there.
Yeah, it wasn't bad at all.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed my first flight. Well, it worked out great because the first flight I was packed in with 3 other people and could barely fit into my fucking seat. The second flight I got a whole row of seats by myself, so I had my knee up on the chair next to me and shit. So that was very comfy as well. But that is, it's one of the best flights I've ever had.
Man, I hope you get the opportunity to fly internationally someday because, God. I mean, it's still not heaven by any means, but it's so much better.
I bet, but then you have to fucking sit there for 12 hours in a plane.
Yeah, that's
like,
the other
I don't know.
thing.
It probably balances out, I think.
Yeah, that's true too.
But you're totally right. When I get off a fucking LAX to Washington Dulles flight, like I just my legs hurt so bad.
Yeah,
just everything's awful. I really don't like it.
Yeah, Cyrene's mother was asking me why I was walking like that, and well, after I got
airplanes.
Airplanes. I also picked the cheapest flights. This time around, so I flew from Atlanta to Dulles to where I am now. Right. That's like a 5.5 hour flight. Oh my god, I don't.
Yeah, I always do something similar too. I have to LAX is about 2.5 hours from my house. So I drive to LAX or take a train, which takes 4 hours. And then take LAX to DC, and then I have to wait for another flight south to Virginia from there.
Yeah, United sure likes to pile into it's either Houston or Dulles, right? But Houston Airport does not feel as crowded to me as Dulles because I think it's a bigger airport.
I wonder. I don't know. Dulles is definitely more crowded than Houston. I haven't really thought about why. I just assumed that Houston was not as common. Because Dulles, you've got all the international flights coming in.
That's true.
Houston is almost exclusively domestic flights.
Man, can you imagine though? Since Dulles is international, people, you know how United loves super short connections for whatever reason? How Dulles used to have Dulles didn't used to have its shuttle train, right? If you want to get between one terminal and the next, you have to use a bus.
Yeah,
I can't even imagine.
They still run those buses. I've used them a few times. Yeah. Sometimes that's the most efficient way. If you want to get all the way across the airport instead of riding a subway in a huge circle.
True. Well, on the other side, us peons are flying around in these tin cans. There's this one person, his name is Ben Shaplick. Mm-hmm. I think I'm probably mispronouncing that word again. I'm not saying words right, is what I'm saying. But this guy, he spends at least 200 days of the year in the air. Alright, and this is how he makes his living. He manages frequent flyer miles. So he does business or first class international exclusively, and he pays for it mostly through the miles that he accumulates.
What?
And then, and then he does he has a blog, of course, and he has ads, and he also is a consultant for busy business travelers who don't know what the hell to do with those credit cards and miles because it's so complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's his life.
So he flies around with no purpose.
Yeah, except
just to check things out. Just to continue flying and writing about it. Weird. Cool.
Exactly. No house, no apartment. According to him, one day when his last apartment lease expired, he just let it go, hopped on a plane. He has a knack for these kinds of things, like figuring out the Byzantine rules of airline frequent flyer miles, and now he just spends all his time in the air.
What a man. Yeah, that is not a life I would want to live. No. Flying extremely stressful.
No, neither would I. No, although business class and first class travel is a whole new story, right?
You're right, but you're still, I don't know. I still don't, I would get tired of first class pretty quick, I think, if that was my life.
I wouldn't want to take first class, honestly. All I'm asking, really, is so that I can sit in a seat that my legs don't feel like they're on fire or something when I get off. Totally. That's all I ask.
Yeah. No, I agree. And if I'm already on a plane, absolutely I'd choose first class. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
But if I can choose between hanging out at home all day or flying first class for no reason to get nowhere and then stay in a hotel, I'd probably stay home.
Yeah. I agree with you there because his mission really is to review every single airline he can get and to rack up miles. Mm-hmm. So his itineraries will be completely insane.
Yeah.
It'll be fly from Dubai to freaking Bangkok and then from Bangkok to San Francisco all in the space of 3 days.
Man, that guy is like living proof that there's something seriously wrong with our transportation system. The fact that shit is possible.
Yep.
Oh man.
Yep.
Good stuff.
Oh god. Well, there you go. That's how you do it. Apparently, you sign up for credit cards and you just stay in the air all the time and never live anywhere else.
Yeah, I should have listened when Alaskan Airlines was liquoring me up trying to get me to sign up for a credit card. I should have known. Yeah. That would have been, a gateway to a new career.
Yeah, you too could have a glamorous life in every airport around the world.
Yeah. Dude, you should only take flights that have Wi-Fi on them and then stream to Twitch yourself flying on planes.
Look, hey, actually, people do this, not streaming, but they upload like full-length YouTube videos of their flights.
Flying? What?
Yes, they do this.
What the fuck?
Well,
I can't imagine something less fun to watch. Like, it's just nothing fucking happens for 10 hours and then you get back off the plane.
I know. Right?
Holy shit.
I don't know. I'm just going to do a quick search right now.
Okay.
Full
I can't wait.
flight video economy or something and see how many views they get. Full flight video economy. All right. And, full flight Japan Airlines, Helsinki to Tokyo. Oh my god. 41,000 views. It took 9 hours to fly from Helsinki to Tokyo.
And people are just fucking watching this guy fly?
I guess so.
Man, I don't understand the internet. Sometimes I think I understand the internet, and then I'm reminded that no, I don't get it even a little tiny bit.
It's seriously 9 hours and a half.
That's incredible.
Yep.
Speaking of not understanding the internet, I've got a great story about a Chinese man who was horrified by the idea. He was doing this thing called a granny dance. Have you heard of this?
No.
It's a Chinese phenomena where middle-aged women will blast traditional Chinese music and dance and march around and stuff, and people get mad at it and hate it. It's like an annoying thing. But this guy felt pressured to join a granny dance, so he's dancing around with a bunch of grannies, and some people took videos of him. And then he's thinking oh shit, those people are going to put those videos online. My reputation's going to be ruined. So his solution to this problem was to go around to communications boxes, break them open, and destroy them. So this guy he went around to 8 different communications boxes and took down the internet in various districts and caused $15,000 worth of damage.
Wow.
Yeah. All because he really, really, really didn't want this video of him uploaded.
Well, that's how it usually goes, right? If he hadn't done that, he wouldn't be famous worldwide and we wouldn't be talking about it. But here we are. Yeah.
Now, not only do we know that he did a silly dance, but we know that he caused $15,000 of property damage over, a completely pointless attempt to keep his shit off the internet. Because, now imagine being one of the people who has that footage. Oh my god, it's gold now.
Mm-hmm.
This is the video that this guy was so desperate to not have seen that he destroyed internet boxes. That's 1 million YouTube views right there.
Wait, did it make it up to the Chinese internet, whatever their video platform is, Weibo or whatever? Did it actually get uploaded? Oh man,
the article I'm on does not mention it.
Okay,
but I sure hope so. We'll have to do some more digging and see if we can find that video, because surely by this point it is on the internet.
Yeah, because it would be let's put it this way, alright? If he hadn't done that, the chances of it being uploaded to the internet and then being superimposed with other graphics or remixed or something like that.
0.
Zero, yeah.
Maybe about 20 people would have seen this video.
Yeah, right? It's just guy dancing.
Yeah. Now, I'm sure in China it's a huge thing.
Yeah, I don't know what this granny dancing is. Chinese memes are very interesting to me. I really should keep up with them because they make no sense to a lot of people outside of China. Actually, a lot of the memes here in America would not make any sense to Chinese either.
Oh, memes don't make any sense. That's what it boils down to.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, if we went to China and tried to, talk about Harambe or something, I think it wouldn't make much sense to them.
My understanding of granny dancing is that it's like jazzercising, kind of.
Jazzercising?
Have you not heard of that?
I've heard the word. But
you like blast music and like kind of like half dance, half exercise to it.
Okay, so I'm thinking that this is basically like smooth jazz with a beat, and it's not John Coltrane or something like that, right?
I assume so. I don't really have much experience with jazzercising, but, it's something that middle-aged women do to like, exercise, but also it's a social thing, and also they're blasting music.
It sounds familiar to me, but I don't know. It sounds like something from the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely that.
Yeah, now I don't even know what they do now. Like, I don't know, something with emoji size. That's what I would guess.
You should be, like a small town local police guy on social media. They do something with emojis, right? What was that? What am I thinking of? There's a guy. Oh yeah, the guy who was talking about Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just like, they're just playing Pokemon Go on their phones and they find an emoji or whatever and they're gonna make some noise.
It would not surprise me if this person thought that Pokemon Go was like an aerobics routine.
Oh man, that would be way better.
Oh god.
Somebody needs to make that game.
Okay, so let me ask you a question then. Have you ever been forced into an aerobics routine? Okay, odd question. No, I guess not.
I have not.
I had to. I was, actually.
Really? What? Were they pointing a gun at you?
No.
Or at your family member?
No, I was in Singapore. Okay. That doesn't explain anything, but...
Yeah. Oh, I see. You were in Singapore. Okay.
No, in Singapore is well known for having nationwide social initiatives because it's so small, right? It's like a few million people, 200 something square miles, right?
Yeah.
And so people were convinced, or people were scared, as they should be, that children were getting overweight. Mm-hmm. Right? So I had to do this thing called the Great Singapore Workout. Right? And you can Google this. I'm sure it exists. And it's the most, every morning or at least once a week, I had to do like 10 minutes of this Great Singapore Workout. Mm-hmm. Get off of your feet or get out of your seat onto your feet. Get your body moving right now, something along those lines.
Yeah. And they've got government agents in every home making sure.
Yes, that's exactly. You better get off of your feet, or get off your seat, or else, I don't know, you get caned. That's not a thing that happens in Singapore, so please don't be mad at me. Well, caning does, but not for not exercising.
Right.
Man, I had a classmate who have I told you about the public caning that he got?
No. Whoa.
No.
Holy shit.
Yeah, we all assembled in front of the stage and he was caned a few times for I think it was strapping a mirror to his shoe and looking at the art teacher's panties.
Oh, actually, I think you did tell me that like 3 years ago. Oh man, yeah, sudden recognition when you mentioned the mirror. I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
What a hero. He went down for what he believed in,
Yeah.
I hope he just raised his head high.
God, this is why you don't send your kids to an all-boys school, by the way. Don't do it. Yeah, Cyrene and I were talking about this. Like, going to an all-boys school and just being totally isolated from girls as an everyday occurrence between the ages of like 13 and 14 really just kind of screwed me up when I actually did go to a school with girls in it, and they're not just some mythical being outside the school gates. You actually talk to them like normal people. Don't do that to your sons, guys.
Also, consider if you're a woman not teaching at a boys-only school, because it's, that's only going to end in woe for everybody.
Yeah.
It's just begging for awkward situations.
Yeah, it is. Oh god. I was about to say something about the school I went to, but then I realized it would identify me. But a very famous person just emerged in the last few years that went to that school for good reasons. So I think I'll leave it as that.
Okay. Well, internet detectives, get your notepads out. That's another clue to the identity of Zen.
Yeah. Okay, wow, that was a long digression. What other news did you want to discuss? Something about hashtag?
Oh yeah, hashtag daddygate. So I was really bummed last week because I was 100% sure that we would both forget to discuss daddygate before our next podcast because we had to take that week off. So this is slightly old news, but really exciting series of tweets emerged and went viral. This woman, I'll just read some of these out loud. Don't have deep psychosexual Freudian and Oedipal trauma / dysfunction? Good for you. Stop appropriating daddy. Daddy came from queer leather folk, and y'all vanilla ass bitches out here are like, yes daddy, while you have monogamous missionary sex. Actual queer leather people who do daddy and BDSM subculture get treated like freaks and losers, and it's a cute fucking screen name for you. And she goes on and on like this. So, yeah, apparently some people are very offended by everybody calling everything daddy now. The daddy meme. The daddy meme has become daddygate.
Wait, I didn't know there was a daddy meme, except for Northern Lion, right?
But dude, that's everywhere.
Apparently I missed the memo about daddies.
Oh yeah. I follow a guy on Twitter whose screen name was Woke Daddy for a while.
Woke Daddy?
Woke Daddy.
What does that mean?
You know what woke is, right?
No, I'm starting to feel like that small town sheriff now who's all about the emoji.
So woke is a thing in black culture that means like aware of, you know, like undercurrents of discrimination.
Oh, okay.
You know, like if you're part of Black Lives Matter, you're woke to that kind of issue. And then daddy is a completely unrelated one, and I just really appreciated his like combining of those two memes to woke daddy. It's good stuff. But yeah, daddy is just I can't even describe how big a meme it is. I can't believe that you haven't heard of this.
Look, I'm up on the Harambes and the dad boys, but not the daddies, apparently.
Yeah, dicks out for Harambe. Oh yeah! Did you hear that another zoo is going to do an online campaign to name a baby gorilla?
This will not end well.
Well, it's gonna end in Harambe, isn't it? Like, there's no fucking chance that fucking gorilla is not gonna be named Harambe. I can't believe they're like, what? But, you know, good stuff. I don't mind a baby gorilla being named Harambe in honor of his fallen comrade, but it seems disingenuous to call it an online contest, doesn't it?
Well, it's not even going to be that now. It's not going to be, you know, in honor of a fallen comrade. People are going to dub the new baby the reincarnation of Harambe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely this will happen.
Yeah, people are going to make shrines and pull their dick out at it every morning.
Oh god.
I really do love the dicks out for Harambe meme.
I actually have not heard of that.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that particular variety of Harambe. No, I have not.
That's like the main one. Yeah, dicks out for Harambe, man. It's how you pay your respects.
I just see image macros. Nobody calls them that anymore. But it's a
macro.
Macro. Yeah. Okay. I just see pictures of Harambe, basically. I feel like I'm on a different internet than the rest of the world.
Yeah, now. Right? You're definitely on a different internet than me.
I'm on the part of the internet that watches 9 hours of flight videos.
Yeah, you're totally right. I haven't heard of that at all. I do love, though, dicks out for Harambe. Like, when I'm playing Overwatch and I get play of the game as Winston, I'll just all chat, like, dicks out, everyone!
Oh, God.
Because Winston is the monkey.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that much I know anyway. Oh god. So yeah, what is Daddy? That sounds like a tagline for a really bad movie. But yeah, what is Daddy?
What is Daddy not? Daddy is just okay. So it comes from the weird, creepy phenomenon of girls calling their boyfriends daddy. Right? Like that's been a thing for a really long time. But people started picking it up and just how creepy it is and talking about it, and then it sort of morphed into a meme, and now it's just funny to call everybody daddy.
I see.
You call Northern Lion Egg Daddy. You call, you know.
I had assumed that people called Northern Lion Egg Daddy because he's slightly older than his demographic, and it was funny because he's a little bit more self-possessed than most people. Right?
Yeah, there's definitely that aspect of it. Like, it's very similar. There's a Dota 2 streamer named Draskell who listens to Dad Rock while he plays Dota and is just, similar to Northern Lion, very composed in the way he speaks and everything. And people have been calling him Dad for like 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's kind of merged with this meme now, is what you're telling me?
Exactly. Yeah, the daddy meme just kind of slots right in there. But yeah, so it's appropriated not from BDSM culture. That's my thesis anyway, is that BDSM culture did not start daddy. It's appropriated from weird fucking girls who call their boyfriends daddy and the boys who like it, I guess.
Well, I mean, I guess BDSM is not my thing. Absolutely. I mean, but I'm not going to judge people for it.
No, me neither.
But the Twitter rant that you were talking about earlier, I think she, at least the impression that I'm getting was that she was perhaps attributing, well, what's the word I'm looking for? I think you could probably sum it up better than me. She was reaching, right?
Oh yeah. She was making a very specific issue out of a very general phenomenon, I think.
Right.
Like, she's taking the panting leather daddy meaning of daddy and saying, okay, so daddy always and forever belongs to the BDSM community, but really, daddy's been used in many ways.
Yeah.
We're really appropriating it from, young girls who call their father daddy. If you want to go right back to the origin of the word,
Man, the internet is such a weird place.
It is.
Oh, goodness.
Daddy. Man, so we're at 32 minutes. We have not mentioned a video game yet.
Yeah, which video game news do you want to talk about?
Well, I played Doom, or Hocus Doom.
Hocus Doom.
Hocus Doom, which is, okay, so very obscure old DOS game called Hocus Pocus. It's a side-scroller. I looked up some gameplay. I've never played it myself, but I looked up some gameplay to kind of understand the framework under which this Doom mod is operating. And it's just this, it kind of vaguely off-putting looking side-scrolling platformer where you are like a magic dude and you jump around and try to get crystals.
Oh, I've played this game.
Oh, no way. I was really hoping that was the case.
Yeah, I just Googled it. Well, I mean, I say I played, but it was probably on the CD with like 150 shareware games. Right?
Yeah. No, I would totally believe that, because it is super obscure. Nobody's ever fucking heard of it. But one man loved this game so much that he decided just now to start developing a Doom mod. And there's not an alpha, but he's made a couple of levels is what it is. You can go and play a few stages of this, and eventually I think there's going to be 40 of them. If this guy sticks with it.
Wow.
But it's a very impressive Doom mod. It's really cool. He ripped a bunch of sprites and stuff out of the game and duplicated some others so they look good in the Doom engine. And you're just, you're fighting the same enemies with similar movesets, but in 3D instead of 2D and in the Doom engine.
Yeah, so just to paint a picture here, I'm looking at screenshots of the original game so that we can really make it vivid for you. It's like pictures of backgrounds with gigantic mushrooms and their wizards and their monsters, stained glass windows, lava, that kind of thing. Very, very I guess like a children's fantasy book kind of thing, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And it's fantasy or like pastel bright colors. And so you play the game and it's it's just like that, the same color scheme and everything. He's made these 3D models of mushrooms and put them everywhere, and there's a big castle made out of purple blocks and stuff. And it's he even put some mild Minecraft elements in terms of destructible environments, because
Oh,
there are,
wow.
you know how in Doom, to find secrets, like secret openings in walls, you had to just walk up and like press spacebar on them and hope that you found one?
Yeah.
In this game, you break the wall by shooting at it.
Oh,
And it breaks
interesting.
away one square at a time, just like it would in Minecraft or something. It's really fascinating. I didn't know that was possible in the Doom engine.
Okay.
But yeah, this is a Doom 2 mod, and it is available 1,000% for free. If you search for Hocus Doom, you will find it, and if you search additionally for GZ Doom and Doom 2 WAD, you'll need those two things, and then you put them all together, and you get Hocus Doom. And yeah, I had a fun time. I played through a few levels, and it was very impressive level design. Like, it didn't feel like a bad mod or anything. It felt like its own fully realized game, the same way, like Heretic does. In that, it feels like you're playing Doom, but, so does every other game in that engine,
Right.
But it feels good, and he did a lot. He actually substantially changed up how weapons work. Like, you get a lightning bolt, and as you get lightning bolt upgrades, you get more of them at once, and that governs like how many you can have in the air at one time. So as you upgrade your lightning bolt, you can shoot more rapidly or shoot like longer bursts before you have to wait for them to regenerate.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, well, it sounds like a labor of love for this person.
It totally is. This guy, you can tell he's just fucking in love with the source material. He's probably been modding Doom for a long ass time because it looks awesome and is incredible. Like, there's nothing, it's certainly not a beginner project. This guy knows what the fuck he's doing, and yeah, it's just really neat. Highly recommended.
If you're interested in checking out the original Hocus Pocus, it's on Steam, actually, so.
Wow, weird.
Yeah, so you can search for it on Steam. I did not search for it on GOG, but it's a possibility, so there's that.
Interesting.
Yeah. Apogee Games, which, was the publisher. They made a lot of games that I remember from my childhood, and I feel like I should go back at some point to look at them, but I just haven't. Apogee Games being the publisher of Hocus Pocus, that is to say.
Huh. Yeah, I don't think... Yeah, it's not familiar to me.
Okay, yeah, that's a really 90s thing, basically.
Yeah. I played a few DOS games, but almost all of them were edutainment, and I think the only one that wasn't was Heretic.
Did you ever play Granny's Garden?
No.
Okay, that's all.
I played Grover, like Astro Grover's Math Adventure or something.
What?
It's exactly what it sounds like. And Treasure Island.
Treasure Island. Did it have like a guy with a cap so big you couldn't see his face?
Yes.
Okay, I played that one too.
Yeah, and like weird, like 30 seconds of looping music, and you had a net, and you would like wander around and catch these little gnomes that tried to run away from you, and then you would like torture secrets out of them.
Okay, I don't remember that part.
Well, I mean, you wouldn't actually torture them, but you catch these guys, and through some series of events, they would tell you things, and it wasn't really clear in the narrative what you were doing to them exactly.
Okay.
But yeah, they'd give you, like, answers to puzzles and stuff, and eventually you want to get to the top and fight this, like, king that looks like a lion.
Okay, I think we're thinking about different games now, but yeah, I'll look it up later on and see if that's true or not.
Yeah, I think I've mentioned it before. Actually, let me make sure I have the right name, because I might. Okay, definitely not Treasure Island Movie Festival. Oh man, that's the thing. There's going to be so many Treasure Islands.
Treasure Mountain?
Treasure Mountain! That's the one.
Yeah, so I'm looking at it, and it is in fact the same. It's a game in the same series, but I think I played a different game in the series.
Yeah, it's a Super Solver adventure.
Super Solvers,
by the Learning Company.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did Midnight Rescue.
Okay.
Yeah, I should play some of these old games. Like, on my channel a long time ago, I played The Manhole. And...
I'm sure you did.
Yeah, I'm sure I did.
We've all had that phase in college, right? Right, guys.
Yes, I played The Manhole. Yeah, these Mid 90s games, honestly, or late 80s, mid 90s PC games are fascinating, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway.
They definitely are an interesting historical relic of when less was known about how to develop a game, you know? Like, when nowadays we know so much about what good design is that even a very bad game designer doesn't stray super far outside of good design in a lot of ways. You go back to the old games and things like, you know, good UI were just not settled on yet. So you see all this crazy shit. It's just, yeah, it's really fascinating.
You know, if you like learning or watching about this kind of thing, I think you should YouTube this person. His name is Jeremy Parish. I'm not sure if you have heard of him. He used to write for a major game magazine. And he's been doing this kind of really interesting deep dive into Game Boy games and Nintendo games and what the game design, you know, what was conventional wisdom for game design back then versus how it's like now. So he reviews Nintendo and Game Boy games, really old, obscure ones. And I've been listening to him lately as I work, and it's really interesting stuff.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I should check that out.
Yeah, so for those of you who want to check him out, his name is Jeremy, and Parish is Parish, like, you know, a church. That's what parish means, right?
Yeah. Something like that, anyway.
Okay, good. All right. Any other video game news that you would like to talk about today?
I have one more. I can let you go first. I've been bringing up my own topics for a long time.
The only thing I will say at this point, since we're actually going to talk about it later briefly, but just to be really quick about this, Titan Quest, which is that game that came out 10 years ago now, and is essentially a Diablo clone, and also the precursor to Grim Dawn. So the developers of Titan Quest went on to Grim Dawn. A lot of the systems and gameplay are the same. Well, if you own Titan Quest on Steam, you'll get a free copy of what THQ is calling the Anniversary Edition, which is, they just went in and changed a lot of stuff. They fixed bugs, they did rebalancing, they added new resolution options so you can play that. And most importantly, really, in 2006, when the game came out, the multiplayer was handled through GameSpy. All right.
Oh man.
Yeah, GameSpy. Remember that? Well, GameSpy is long dead, but THQ has gone in and re-added multiplayer back in without GameSpy. So now you can play Titan Quest multiplayer.
That's awesome.
Cool. So if you have Titan Quest, if you own it on Steam, you have the copy now. You can just go download it. If you don't already have Titan Quest, I will say that Titan Quest is in my opinion, one of the best action RPGs. Yeah, Diablo clones to come out. It's right after Diablo, really. And it's only $5 until September the 7th. We are going to be discussing this game properly in the next episode of Game Not Game, because that's our game of the week next week.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you're interested in ARPGs, check out Titan Quest and then come join on the discussion next week. That'll be on Sense Channel.
Okay, and you were about to bring up something?
I played the Battlefield 1 beta.
Ah, how was that?
Exactly like Battlefield 4 and Battlefield 3.
This is going to confuse me so much.
Yeah, right? Well, come on. Just don't stop naming things one after... it's really annoying. But yeah, this one takes place in the First World War, which makes it, you know, cosmetically different from other games in the series, but really not meaningfully different at all. As I played like 45 minutes of it, and I was like... I was just so bored because it's the same exact shit that Battlefield has been doing forever. And it's, you know, very similar to the same shit that Call of Duty has been doing forever. Like, mainstream first-person shooters are just really, really, really boring at this point because they haven't had a need to change because people just keep on fucking buying them.
Do you think that EA or Activision is going to look at Overwatch and say, man, we got to get one of our IPs just like that and do a cartoony Call of Duty or something along those lines?
I wonder. Yeah, there's things in Overwatch that need to be learned from, right? Like, Overwatch is interesting in a way that first-person shooters have not been in a long time. And you're right, I'm really worried that mainstream companies are going to look at that and be like, oh, we got to make everything cartoony. People love that now. And not understand the systems that are in play here. But yeah, the systems in Battlefield 1 are just like, okay, so I'm in a giant map. There's like 7 different control points. And I'm running around and I'm fucking trying to sit on the flags until I take them for my team. And there's tanks. But none of it's so, like, I've played enough of Battlefield 3 and 4 that it's like, this is the same exact shit that I've already played for so long. And it's, now that I've played so much Overwatch, it's like, man, I'm just so bored. And it's not like I'm shitty at it. Like, the game that I actually quit out of, the game started, I went and killed 5 people and died, and then it was a 40-person server. So, 39 other players, and the highest kills on anybody else was 2. And so, like, I was doing really well, but I was just like, man, I don't know. I just feel past that right now. It's very depressing playing. I felt kind of the same way about that Star Wars game that DICE made. What was that? What's that called?
I cannot tell. I cannot remember what the names of the Star Wars
nobody
games
fucking remembers
ever.
it anymore because everything they fucking make is shovelware now. It's like they got everybody to buy the Star Wars game and the fucking $40 DLC, so everybody spent $100 on this game, and now nobody remembers it. Not even a year later.
Yeah, I do remember a lot of, well, this is for just about every major release, really, but people on Twitch jumping on that, like, for 2 weeks or something.
Yeah.
And then, then the next thing came along. It's the circle of life on Twitch.
Exactly. But it's very concerning to me to see, like, recurring multiplayer games turn into shovelware like this, like, if you want to be playing the latest, like, military FPS game, you need to spend like $300 a year on it.
Yeah.
Like, ugh. It's really ridiculous. And they're all the same fucking shit. Like, it would be one thing if they were iterating at such a level that, like, next year's Call of Duty is like, oh my god, it's so much better than last year's. But it's not. They're all the same. I've played all of them, and they're all bad. Not that I've bought all of them, but I play the fucking free weekends. I play the betas just so that I can kind of, like, stay up to date on what's going on with those series so that I can more coherently shit on them, I guess. But I do tend to install them and play them for a little while, and I'm consistently just really, really, really underwhelmed. And it's sad because the first time I played Battlefield 3, I couldn't believe it. It was the most magical experience. The fact that you could have 64 people on this giant map, like, all, like, flying airplanes and shooting tanks at each other and just, like, going crazy. It was really neat. But then they haven't changed that since. It's all the same exact fucking game. It doesn't even look better. Like, if you go back and play Battlefield 3, it still looks just as good as Battlefield 1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't pay attention to that scene at all, but I can definitely imagine that happening. Yeah.
It's a weird place. So yeah, I played 45 minutes of Battlefield 1 and was depressed afterwards. That's my story. I would not recommend buying that game. But hey, if you haven't gotten into a Battlefield game before, you'll probably like it. But if you do buy it, be aware that the entire community will vacate in a year when they put out the next Battlefield.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the biggest problem with it. Like, if you're gonna have a fucking, like, yearly churn it out series, you're not gonna be able to form a community around any single game. You have to keep on buying games, which is shitty.
Yeah. I guess, just form a clan or join a clan or something and everyone buys the same game or the next game every year.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you have to pay your yearly $100 subscription, and then because if you buy the $60 game, you're gonna be able to play for like 3 months, and then the DLC is gonna come out, and if you don't get that, then you're not gonna be able to find anybody to play with because everybody else has the DLC. Mm-hmm. And then so that's another $40 to get the DLC pack, and that'll keep you going for another like 6 months, and then the next game comes out, and then you gotta start over again. Yeah, good stuff. Buy Overwatch. Overwatch is really fucking good, and you don't have to pay for anything unless you really, really care about looking pretty.
Yeah. I don't know. That's all I have to say about that. I don't know anything about Overwatch except for the time I was watching Bad Taffy open 100 boxes.
Yeah. That's not actually most of the gameplay.
No.
I haven't spent any extra money on cosmetics, and I'm perfectly happy with my Overwatch experience.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's that's like that sort of thing is multiplayer FPS done right. That and like Counter-Strike Global Offensive is another great example. Like games like that just stick around for years, form a community, update, and kind of stay with the community, but don't go, oh, if you want to play these new maps, it's going to be another $20, because that kind of guarantees that your community has a limited lifetime. Mm-hmm. Like if you keep on doing that for long enough, then people are going to stop paying the $20, and then before you know it, like there's not going to be enough people in any one tier of gameplay to play with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so the game of the week for this week is Always Sometimes Monsters. I was going to say Sometimes Always Monsters, which of course is a sequel that's being developed. But
not to be confused with Monsters. Always Sometimes.
Yep. Not to be confused with that, which is the prequel. It's like Battlefield 1. It came out before the original game.
No, that's Always Sometimes Monsters 1. Oh, man. So Always Sometimes Monsters. How was your experience, Zen?
So let me just quickly explain what this is. It's a game which I believe is made in RPG Maker, right? Mm-hmm. And this was before there was a big flood of RPG Maker games on Steam. I don't know what happened. Maybe some
Always Sometimes Monsters did.
Yeah, Always Sometimes Monsters did. No,
I'm serious. Like I think that was what started the trend of RPG. Yeah, that's my understanding.
You mean? That's really interesting. I didn't know it had such an impact. But yes. Always Sometimes Monsters has you playing a writer who's down on his or her luck. You get to select your character at the beginning, and you hear that your former partner, your partner is going to go get married, and you're trying to raise enough money to go across the country and do something about it. It's a slice of life RPG. And it's very much in the vein, it's very much focused on the struggle of being a creative. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, and just of being poor in general.
Right.
Like the kind of the systems that make people poor and then make them continue being poor forever.
Right. And, presented as a 16-bit RPG, as you can imagine, since it's an RPG Maker game. My thoughts about it, unfortunately, I played very limited amounts of it. I did start a short series of it on YouTube back in 2014. Mm-hmm. And I didn't get very far because I have the attention span of a goldfish. Yeah. But from what I played of it, it seemed to strike a balance between tongue-in-cheek and serious issues, and I didn't get far enough into the game to see whether that got annoying in one way or another, but from the 2 or so hours that I played of it seemed to strike the right balance for the most part. What do you think?
I agree with that. Yeah, I think the narrative was pretty good. It's, I enjoyed my time with it. I had an interesting experience because I played like 2 hours of it when it came out, like 2 years ago or whatever, and then continued my save because I wanted to get in deeper to the story rather than like replay stuff that I vaguely remembered. But that meant that I only vaguely remembered the stuff I had already done. But what did happen was I found that a friend that I had forgotten was dying of a drug overdose. And there was a douchebag doctor who was like, well, her life's not worth very much because she doesn't have any money. So he broke into his house and found incriminating sexual photos of him and used those to blackmail him into treating her. and that was exciting. And then I was like, man, I'm starving to death because I haven't made money in too long and I can't afford any money or any food. And so I went to work in a pork processing plant and cut up a bunch of pigs and turned them into money. And then with that day's worth of pay, I managed to go to the convenience store because, of course, the grocery store was closed by the time I got off work. So I went to the convenience store and bought like 13 sandwiches, which was enough to get me to like almost halfway to full.
What?
Yeah, food is a big problem in this game. I found out I was hungry, by the way, because I tried to go to sleep in an alleyway, and the game was like, "You're too hungry to go to sleep in an alleyway, man." I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna get some food." But yeah, it was an interesting thing because, like, effectively, if I want to like have a social life and work and eat, then. And that's to say nothing of sleeping anywhere but in an alleyway because I got kicked out of my apartment. Then, like, you know, I don't have any money for anything else. I can eat or I can starve to death, and that's all the money. And that was an interesting commentary. I'm probably doing something wrong, but that was my experience.
Yeah, the game really, because I mean, it is an RPG Maker game, so it's not like a fast-paced 3D FPS or something like that.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. It's essentially a visual novel, right?
It is.
For the most part.
Yeah, it's a visual novel, but you can actually walk around in a vaguely JRPG-esque world and speak to people and choose what buildings you go into and so forth. So a little bit more fleshed out than that, but systematically, yeah, it's a visual novel.
Right. So the choices are what define your gameplay in this game. Just picking choices of what you're going to do or even choices between events, right? Mm-hmm. And you know, for my experience, I wanted to talk about the very first day in the game in which, you know, you get kicked out of your apartment because you're late on the rent and you have to somehow make some money. So the first thing you do is you go and work in this nightclub to set up a concert, right? Mm-hmm. And then after that, you can choose to either work in the nightclub to get more money in the evening, or you could go help your apartment neighbor by moving things around and listening to her life story. Right. And, you know, spoilers, as it turns out that you could possibly earn more money by doing the apartment thing. Mm-hmm. Right. Because you'll find a box of old baseball cards and then, of course, you can go sell it. Right. And that's what I did in my first playthrough, the one that's on YouTube. I went to see Mrs. Tallywhacker or whatever her name is. Right. But when doing this second playthrough, because I started from the beginning, I thought to myself, there's this one character, he's a rock star, he's the one who you're setting up the concert for, right? Mm-hmm. And he is addicted to heroin, or he was before he kicked it.
Yeah.
And I was about to leave the building and I was thinking, wait, what if I go to Mrs. whatever's house, Mrs. T's house, and his girlfriend, his ex who's trying to get him on the drug again, just goes back in and gets him on the drug, right?
Right.
So it wasn't really a matter of money. I was thinking, you know, I'm going to go back in. I'm going to make sure he doesn't take the drug. Right. And I don't know which of it, because the game has multiple endings. The game has multiple endings, and there's a quote-unquote perfect ending, which I think is hilarious. You can go on Steam and find 6 different walkthroughs with how to get the perfect happy ending. But to me, I kind of felt like maybe like karma wise, those two things should have been somewhat more equivalent. But I understand it's also kind of the limitation of the game, you know. It's not like the game can anticipate what it is I'm thinking at the time. But I kind of feel like there was a moral dilemma which I couldn't have acted on.
Well, I don't know. I feel like the game also doesn't necessarily try to be karmically balanced, you know, like sometimes you do a bad thing and it just rewards you. Like, for example, you can work, there's an employment center that like gives you temp jobs and they take 50% of your income, which is galling, of course. But you can choose to go to either the soy processing plant or the pork processing plant. And the soy plant is all like enviro friendly and everything. You make like half as much there as you do at the pork plant. Just straight up.
Yeah.
So that's just a straight up like be less moral, get more money thing. And I think that's a theme of the game, you know?
Yeah, I guess so.
You could also sell a dog to dog processors in the cookie factory.
Oh my god, dog processors in the cookie factory.
Yeah, I remember I did that on my first, in the earlier part of my playthrough years ago when I played it before. Yeah, you find a lost dog and there's like lost dog signs, but there's also like, hey kid, you want to sell a dog? We'll give you $200 for that dog right now. And you go to the cookie factory at night and there's a guy sitting behind a door and you hand the dog to him and he's like, cool, here's the money, get out of here. And you're like, I hope they find a good home for that dog. Your character's just completely oblivious to what happened.
Dog cookies. Mm.
Yeah, well, yeah, who knows? I'm not sure exactly what they're up to.
Maybe it's, I guess not. Maybe it's not a cookie factory.
Yeah, they get shipped to China or something. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed the game for what little I played of it. I think it did something really interesting with the narrative also at the very beginning of the game, in which they don't tell you that you're selecting a character. Right, it's just who you drink with. I am not sure if you remember this. Yeah. Yeah,
I completely accidentally chose my character.
Yeah. So the way it works is that you don't play the main character. Actually, that's the interesting part. Right, the two characters that you play as even before you even become the main character. Right. Mm-hmm. And you play the editor, the publisher, really, I think. And the editor is walking around choosing somebody to drink with. And then the person that you drink with as the editor becomes your main character.
Yep. Yeah, I was like, oh, look, this hot blonde chick. Sure, whatever. And then suddenly I woke up and I was her and I was like, oh man, I didn't really understand that I was choosing a character, but that's fine. I'll roll with that.
Yeah. I thought, and I'm just assuming here, I thought it was kind of the game developer's way of trying to make it so that you're living the life of someone else that you normally wouldn't choose, which I think is interesting.
Totally.
Right? Yep. So, what do you think of Sometimes Always, excuse me, is it Always Sometimes Monsters when you played of it?
I thought it was pretty good. There's sometimes when it falters a little bit, and I think, interestingly enough, that's when it tries to stop being a visual novel and start being a game. I think there were times where they're like, wait a minute, we're a video game. We gotta do like video game stuff, like you gotta grind for money and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And that is universally weak. Like all of the gameplay, like for example, when you're at the factory chopping up pigs, it's like, you just have to spend 10 minutes doing the same series of actions over and over and over again with no meaningful anything. You know, it's not engaging. It's not even really like narratively relevant. It's just annoying. And I can see where they're coming from with that, but at the same time, I don't like it when a game just tells me that I have to waste 10 minutes.
I think that's why I stopped playing the game. Yeah. The reason is because I was playing it basically for the story, and I didn't really care about all these mechanics that, you have to walk around town and then do these things, you know. I just didn't really care about that. Yeah,
I think the game would have been way stronger if it was a much more stripped down visual novel, interestingly enough.
Which is interesting, right? This, you know, when you said just now, actually, let's digress for a moment here. When you said just now that you thought that Always Sometimes Monsters was at least kicked off this big boom, I actually think To the Moon probably had a bigger impact.
You're not wrong. Yeah. I thought that was big too. Yeah.
Yeah. And nobody really thinks about the stupid flippy puzzle things that you have to do into the moon.
Yeah, everyone that was also like, it's a video game, we gotta have a video game puzzle in it. You're totally right.
Yeah, everyone remembers the beautiful soundtrack and the emotional storyline, but not the puzzly bits that just felt like they were crammed in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, what nobody wants is to have a horde of gamers say, like, this isn't a real video game. You gotta be able to point to it. Look, we have mechanics, we have puzzles, you know? Like,
yeah.
It's a weird thing. Like, I feel like a lot of games are too afraid to be quite as good as they could be because there's preconceptions about what a video game is. And if you try too hard to like adhere to what a video game is, then you'll sometimes miss out on what your project is.
Right.
And maybe your project isn't a typical video game. Maybe it's a cool narrative thing, and that's fine.
Right.
But it's really important, I think, to have cohesive mechanics and story and have everything go together well. And that's something that a lot of games are not good at.
Mm-hmm.
And Always Sometimes Monsters did an okay job, but again, not a perfect job.
Yeah, I would agree on that. There's another game I want to mention, and the game is called Unemployment Quest.
I remember that one.
Yeah, you remember that one. And I actually went, you know, a lot of the themes are the same as Always Sometimes Monsters, as you can imagine. But I actually finished Unemployment Quest. And I think the reason why I finished Unemployment Quest instead of Always Sometimes Monsters is that Unemployment Quest, yes, it's an RPG Maker game. Yes, you are forced to do battles, much more so than Always Sometimes Monsters. If it even has that, it's much more gamey, right?
Okay.
But it really is a traditional JRPG. Dressed up as a kind of a goofy, the monsters are really your boss or something along those lines.
Yeah.
So because I felt like it swung much more towards the game part of it, I could play it as a game.
Right.
You know, and not be too distracted and just enjoy the story when it comes up. But
yeah.
It ironically for To the Moon and Always Sometimes Monsters, the story is so dominant and, you know, mostly a good thing that I just didn't want the game to get in the way.
Yeah. And even like, you know, I can see it being okay if it was a good game, but it's not. It's just, right. I think both of those games, and To the Moon less so. Like, To the Moon's gameplay was very, very minimal, and I think that was correct.
Yeah.
But with both of those games, it's not a good game that you're playing. It's like, you're playing this cool narrative, and you're like, oh man, what happens next? And then the game is like, oh, by the way, now you have to do something stupid for a little while. And it's like, oh no, come on. Don't do this to me, game. And it makes you do shit you don't want to do just because that's how video games have to be.
Yeah.
But again, if it was a good game, if there were interesting, engaging puzzles that kind of even fit in with the narrative, like maybe your character is trying to do something difficult, and that is communicated to you by you having to solve a challenging problem, that would be cool. But having to, and I guess, you know, it's, now that I say that, it's like, of course, that's what Always Sometimes Monsters is trying to do. Because if you're going to go and work at a shitty job for a day, of course you feel like you're just grinding it out and not having fun. But the point isn't to experience a shitty situation. The point is to hear a story. You know, like, there's no movie where for 20 minutes you just have to watch the main character do something shitty over and over again and be bored because that's in the story, you know?
Yeah, I kind of feel like the games in that genre, similar to Always Sometimes Monsters, it's not so much the gamey part that's compelling, it's the moral dilemmas and the choices that you make.
Absolutely.
And I kind of thought that would be the point of the game. And that should be strong enough to carry the game forward, I think.
Totally. Yeah, and all this said, I don't feel overly negatively about Always Sometimes Monsters. I think they did a lot of things right. I think the story is interesting. But I also don't think I'm going to play too much more of it, because I just...
Right.
You know, I'm at the point where I have so many games to play that I can't play one that jerks me around to that extent. It makes me do things I don't enjoy for that long. But I am interested in the story, and I wish... I wish that I could just play that.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens with Sometimes Always Monsters, the sequel.
Yeah, that will be fascinating. I'm really wondering what lessons they've learned from the first game.
I'm going to say, I don't know, I mean, this is just completely unsubstantiated, but I'm just going to say that it's going to be very similar to Always Sometimes Monsters.
It probably won't be too different, yeah. But I'm fascinated to see what they change, because of course every sequel changes something, you know? Mm-hmm. So it'll be interesting what they decide to double down on and what they don't. Yep.
Well, we'll see. Mm-hmm. Always Sometimes Monsters is available at probably your favorite PC digital download platform, Steam or otherwise. Mm-hmm. So you can go check it out then. I imagine they might have some kind of promotion before Sometimes Always Monsters comes out, just to promote the sequel. So maybe if you want to get it on discount, that would be you could wait until then.
That's a hot tip.
Mm-hmm. Yes, hot tips
scoop.
for life.
Good scoop, Zen.
All about the scoops. I remember that I wanted to talk about camouflage ice cream, but let's talk about that next time.
What? Okay. Excellent. Tune in next week on Zen's channel for camouflaged ice cream. And also tune in, we mentioned this earlier, Titan Quest is our next game of the week. That is an ARPG that Zen likes a lot and I've never played, so I'm going to play it over the next week, and we'll meet back next week. Zen actually has played a lot pre-update too, so we'll be able to talk about the differences that happened in this crazy new overhaul and all kinds of shit. So if you're interested in that, maybe pick up Titan Quest in this $5 sale. It's normally $20, so that's a pretty deep discount, and then talk about it with us next week. And email us if you feel like sharing your Titan Quest stories or any other stories whatsoever at GameNotGameMail@gmail.com. I think we both forgot to check it this week.
Yes.
Never ever get emails, but we will check it next week. Especially if we start getting emails, then we'll start checking it more regularly.
Yep.
It just gets depressing, you know?
Yep.
We just want somebody to talk to. Somebody out there.
Yeah, come talk to us. We have dog cookies.
We don't have dog cookies.
No, we don't. Oh god. By the way, just one last note about Titan Quest. Since you mentioned that I played a lot of it, I looked at my Steam playtime.
Oh yeah?
124 hours.
That's not crazy.
To me, it is.
I have several games I've played more than that.
Yeah.
That's pretty good though. That's like, for you especially, yeah, that indicates that it's a pretty solid game.
Mm-hmm.
If Zen and Cyrene got 124 hours out of it, that's a strong accolade
endorsement
right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, check us out next week on Zen's channel, youtube.com/Zen and Cyrene. There will be a link in the description. Follow him. Do it. Subscribe to him, whatever we call it over here on YouTube. Oh man, we didn't talk about the crazy YouTube shit that's going on.
Oh yeah, totally forgot about that.
Next week.
Next week.
So this is what happens when you're gone for 2 weeks. You have too much shit to talk about, and then you forget some of it. I apologize, everybody.
Yep. You are on Green's channel right now. Be sure to watch his other videos, and then after that, go watch Helsinki to Tokyo, 9 hours. Do both of those things. No, actually just watch Green's channel. You don't want to go crazy.
Dude, no, just leave it on while you're sleeping. Just sleep through the soothing sounds of a fucking crowded airplane traveling internationally in Asia.
My dreams would be so weird if I did that. Mm-hmm. You know, just wake up expecting, I don't know, like vomit-inducing omelet. Oh,
what?
God.
Omelet?
Oh, no. Yeah, so for international flights, for the most part, all your meals are provided because people don't want you to starve for 12 hours on a plane.
Right.
And the omelets that they serve on breakfast are some of the most disgusting things. It makes me nauseous. I'm sorry, I sound so salty about planes. First world problems, but still.
Flying is pretty awful. I would definitely agree with that. I tend to like the end result of flying, but the intermediary part is awful.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.